Our keynote speaker for this evening says she was thrilled to hear our theme was "The best is yet to come," because she believes there is magic in that phrase. Mary Carol Holbert describes herself as a writer, a storyteller, an unapologetic toastaholic, and a recovering international tax attorney. She joined Toastmasters in 2007 to work on her communication skills, but stayed because in Toastmasters she found a community of kindred spirits, people who aspire to be more tomorrow than they are today. She is convinced we are all magicians with the potential to transform lives, with magic that can change our own destiny, magic that can cause our club to soar, magic that can make a positive impact on our families, our companies, our communities, and the world. Please welcome our District 84 Lieutenant Governor, Education and Training, and District 84 Governor-elect Mary Carol Holbert, Distinguished Toastmaster, with her keynote address, "If You Believe."
How many people in this room have ever been 7 years old?
I'm getting
Me too!
there.
When I was 7, I remember eagerly awaiting one of my favorite shows on television. Every year they would show Peter Pan, the story of the boy who refused to grow up. And I can imagine that I could fly to Never Never Land with Peter and Wendy, and we could play with Tiger Lily, and maybe we'd run into the evil Captain Hook. And one of my favorite characters in the story was the little fairy, the little pixie called Tinkerbell. You remember her? And she flitted all over you like blink, 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 blink. She was kind of sassy. I liked her a lot. Now, at one pivotal point in the story, Captain Hook, that evil man, puts poison in some medicine that Peter Pan is supposed to drink. But Tinkerbell drinks it instead. And Tinkerbell, blink, 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 blink. She's dying. And the most amazing thing happens at that point, because Peter Pan steps through that fourth wall and he talks to all of us out in TV land. And he says, "We can save Tinkerbell. You have to believe in fairies. If you believe in fairies, we can save her." You see, there is magic in believing in someone. We have this tremendous power to change the course of lives just by believing in them. Now, all of us have obstacles. We have things that arise that are problems for us. We have doubts. It's part of the human condition. We also have little voices in our head that talk to us. And we have voices all around us, people that talk to us. Sometimes we question our abilities. We question our own self-worth. And sometimes the thing or the person that has the biggest question is the little voice that lives inside our head. Like, I remember when I was about 14 years old. Now, you have to know a little bit about me. I grew up in this tiny little town in southeastern West Virginia called Hinton. Hinton, if you want a comparison, does anyone know the Andy Griffith Show? Mayberry, that's my town. In fact, as a child, I used to think that story was about my hometown. Andy, Opie, Miss Aunt B, they could all live there and be really happy. In my hometown, if you're going on vacation, we're going to see relatives. I go to Akron or I go to Baltimore. My clothes, my mom made them. We're all pretty poor in this little hometown. But the thing is, everybody is in the same situation, so none of us know just how poor we are. One day, a Sunday afternoon, I've got 3 older brothers. One is 23 years older than me. One is 13 years older than me. One is 11 years older than me. They're all married and they live away from home. But my oldest brother and his wife, Marilyn, are visiting us. And they've just come back from this trip to Hawaii. Wow. I mean, we don't go to Hawaii from my hometown. Well, Marilyn is sitting at our kitchen table, and my mom, she's cooking, she's working at the stove. Marilyn is telling us about all these adventures they had in Hawaii. Now, my sister-in-law Marilyn is tall and blonde and really chic. She has on this dress, this beautiful cream-colored dress, and she bought that dress at Lord & Taylor. Now, Hinton doesn't have a Lord & Taylor. Hinton has a G.C. Murphy, a Kessler's, and a Donna Ray. And I can't afford to shop in 2 of those 3 stores. Marilyn is talking, and as she's talking, this little voice in my head starts talking to me. And it starts saying, "You're never going to Hawaii." And it says, "You're never going to buy a dress from Lord & Taylor." And it says, "You're never going to have adventures." And it gets louder. Now, has anyone either been part of or witnessed a teenage meltdown? Anyone? Yeah. Well, as Marilyn is talking to us about the pineapple plantation and trying this first time ever fresh cut pineapple, that little voice is getting so loud, and there's something really ugly starting to happen inside me. I can remember this. And it starts this roiling and bubbling and gurgling, and it makes its way all the way up, and it spills out in tears. And I am sitting at my kitchen table sobbing, just absolutely sobbing. And my mother turns from the stove, and she looks at me like, "What in the world is happening to this child?" And my sister-in-law reaches out, and she grabs my hand, and she says, "Mary Carol, honey, what is wrong?" And that little voice, it tells her what's wrong. It says, I can't, I will never get to do the things you do. I'll never get to buy the clothes you buy. And I really believed that with all my heart. And it was so sad, and I felt such hopelessness, as only a teenager can feel hopelessness. And my sister-in-law reached out, and she grabbed my hand, and she said, "Mary Carol, that's not true. You're going to have adventures. You're going to do things. You're going to do things you can't even imagine." But how can you say that? I don't have any way to do those things. I can't do those things. Yes, you can. I know you can. How do you know? Because, sweetheart, I believe in you. I believe in you. Those words had power that day. They stopped the meltdown, number one. And number two, she said it with such conviction. She believed it so strongly that I let myself start believing it just a little bit too. That's amazing. We have such tremendous power to lift people up. We have the power to inspire actions and to fuel dreams. Now, sometimes the voices we hear aren't the voices in our head. Sometimes there are people out there that are obstacles to ourselves. Like, fast forward just a few years, I'm a senior in high school. Hinton High School, almost ready to graduate. And our guidance counselor wants us all to come in and have a sit down with her. Now, Miss Hutchison is about 198 years old. Well, okay, I have to admit that's a little bit of an exaggeration. She probably wasn't a day over 127. Miss Hutchison has us come in and we sit down one-on-one. And she's looking at me and she's got these glasses that she pulls down so that she looks at me over her nose. And she's saying, Mary Carol, what are your plans for after graduation? And I say, well, I plan to go to college and then I'm going to law school. Really? She says, don't you think that's a little impractical? Impractical? Now, you need to know this. In my tiny little town, in my high school, this is nearly the end of the year, I have a 4.0 grade point average, and I am the valedictorian of our high school. And my guidance counselor is saying, I can't go to law school. What's wrong with this picture? She says to me, girls don't go to law school. Now that gives you a clue on how old I am. That's between us, right? And she also says, and students from Hinton High School, they don't go to law school either. She says, I think you should consider being a teacher. You'd be a good teacher. I was so shocked. I went home that evening and I talked to my mom about what Miss Hutchison had said, because I'm starting to think, well, is she right? Maybe I'm overreaching. Maybe I shouldn't think about going to law school. Maybe I should be a teacher. My mom said to me, Mary Carol, don't pay any attention to what Miss Hutchison says. You have the ability to do whatever you want to do. If you want to be a lawyer, you can be a lawyer. I believe in you. I believe in your dream. Wow. I wonder how many of us, but for someone who believes in our dream, who believes in us, might end up on somebody else's course rather than the one that we intended to take. Thanks to my mom, I did go to law school. And I went back to that high school a few years later and told them I went to law school. There. You can do it. Girls from Hinton, West Virginia can go to law school. I think about this club, about Central Florida facilitators, about all the people who come into this club who want to grow, who want to be better speakers, who want to be better leaders, who want to gain confidence. And I think how powerful our words are. How can we impact what they want to do? When you think about the people that come in here, and think about the people who don't, the people who never make it through these doors. Think about all those people who have ideas that they never give voice to. All the people who have causes that are never championed because they're too afraid to speak. All the people who have visions that they can never give voice to because fear keeps their words imprisoned. I have a friend who's 85 years old. Tony knows her. She is brilliant. She's funny. She's absolutely full of stories. Once, when she was in high school, they asked her to give a speech. And so she got up in front of her high school class and was ready to give the speech and started in on the speech. And suddenly she forgot all the words. And she was paralyzed. And the students in the class, they all started to laugh. And she was mortified. That was 70 years ago. And she still won't get up and talk in front of a group of people. She is absolutely paralyzed. Now, as it so happens, I have tried to encourage her time and time again to come to this very club. I can imagine if she comes through the doors of your club, just like every other Toastmaster in here, she would come through and see as she looks out, and she comes back here, and she stands at this lectern, and she probably would be a little like this, but she would look out and she wouldn't see a sea of people waiting for her to fail so they could laugh. She would see an audience that expects her to succeed. Because we see it time and time again, that people come into this club and they succeed. They're able to make it that first time for their icebreaker speech, and the second time, and the third time, and then suddenly they're winning the Most Improved Speaker Award. It is amazing the power that believing in their ability can have on someone's psyche and someone's confidence. And what about here? How many of you have taken that leap of faith and decided to become a club officer because someone said, Tony, I think you'd make a great vice president of membership? How many people have done that? The idea that someone says to you, I believe you can do this. I believe that you would be a fabulous sergeant at arms. I've watched how organized you are. I know you can do it. I will soon be taking on the office of District 84 Governor. I didn't join Toastmasters with the goal or the intention to become District 84 Governor. Every role I have taken on in this organization has been the direct result of someone saying, Mary Carol, I believe you can do this. When I was in Toastmasters no more than 6 months, Dennis Bouldridge and Anna Ronaldo came to me at a conference in the hospitality room after we probably had a drink or two, and they said, Mary Carol, we think you should be Omni's next president. And I'm like, huh? But they said, I believe you can do it. I believe you're the right person for the job. And I thought, well, if they believe I can do it, maybe I can. And so I took the role. About a year later, Dennis introduced me to a gentleman named Ron Purpart, who was at the time the Lieutenant Governor of Education and Training. He was looking for a conference chair for the spring conference. We had a meeting. Dennis was there, Ron and I. We talked for about an hour. And we talked about the conference and potential themes. And at the end of the conversation, he says, well, would you like to be the conference chair? And I'm thinking, hey, I've been to some of these District 84 conferences. They're like, you know, you're offering to hand me keys to a Ferrari, and you don't even know whether I have a driver's license yet. But he did. He gave me that. He said, I believe you can do it. And I did it. At the end of the conference, in the hospitality room again, a lot of things happen in Texas. Beware of the hospitality room. But in the hospitality room, after Ron had had a drink or 2 or 12, he said, Mary Carol, I see you as a District 84 governor one day. And I said, you are nuts. But as time went on, I took other jobs because people said, Mary Carol, I think you can do this. I became an area governor. And Ron came to me after that and he said, Mary Carol, still think you're going to be a Division 84 or District 84 governor? And he told me that again after I was a public relations officer for District 84. And a funny thing happened. A thing that Ron knew, a thing that we all can learn, which is when you tell people, I believe you can do this, Cindy. I believe you can be the PRO. We told Cindy that and she believed it. She took it on, yay. But what happens is when you start telling people, you show them that you do have the confidence, you have faith that they're able to do something, then something happens inside and that person starts to think, well, maybe I can do it. And they try new things. We try new things, we gain experience. We gain experience, we get something even more precious, which is confidence. And that, my friends and fellow Toastmasters guests, confidence is where the real magic begins. When we start believing in ourselves. There's a quote in Facebook, and I'm on this quote, I've looked it up, I've tried to find who it's attributed to. I think it's a takeoff on one of Victor Hugo's, but it says, a bird sitting on a branch of a tree is never afraid that the branch will break because its trust is not on the branch, but in its own wings. In Toastmasters, we have the amazing capacity to help our fellow Toastmasters start trusting in their own wings. And when that happens, magic really happens. When I heard your theme for this coming year, for this event, I thought, the best is yet to come. If we take that magic that we can create by believing in people and project that into the future, the best is yet to come. You know, there are a lot of people, a lot of clubs that would say to you, how can you believe you can get any better than 11 straight years of President's Distinguished? How does it get better than that? But obviously you believe that it can. And because you believe that, I believe that too, because you believe it, you can mold your destiny. You can make it the best to come. Henry Ford said at one point, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. That's the thing I love about this club. You think you can be better. And that makes it true. Now, back to Peter Pan, we were able to save Tinkerbell because we believed in her. We can change the course of lives. And that's what we can do every day in our Toastmasters Club. Who might you, as a member of Central Florida Facilitators, as a member of any other club, as a human being living on this planet with other human beings, who might we be able to lift up? Who might we empower? Whose life might we change? Because we tell them, I believe in you. Because we show them, I believe in you. We have tremendous power. Who in this room believes in the Toastmaster Education Program? If you believe, say, I believe.
I believe.
Do you believe? Who in the room believes in your club, whether it's Central Florida Facilitators or any other club we may belong to? I believe. Who believes in your fellow Toastmasters? I believe. Do you believe in yourself? I believe. And do you believe that the best is yet to come?
I believe.
Because you believe, you can do it. You believe, and the best is indeed yet to come. Let's work magic in this club across District 4. 84. Thank you. Across District, well, District 4 would be good too. If you want to work magic there, go ahead. But across District 84. Thank you. You are an amazing club that all clubs should look to for inspiration. I know you're going to work magic this year.